Hey, how you doing? It's Alan. Listen, I wanted to stop by and just share a quick little comment that I got from one of my members here in my team, and it was actually a really good piece of information. That's why I want to talk to you about it. Big question that he had for me when I came back from the gym just about 20 minutes ago, still in my t-shirt, is he said, Alan, I've got a problem. And my problem is that I'm losing my motivation. I've been here for a few months, and I know there's stuff I gotta do, there's videos I gotta make, there's new things I gotta learn, there's all sorts of things I gotta put together for my business, but I'm losing my motivation. And I don't understand why I'm losing it, because I got bills and I've got stuff to pay for, I got kids to feed, but for some reason, I just don't feel like doing it. Don't feel like learning the things I gotta learn and doing the things I gotta do to make it happen. What do you do? What do you do during those times where you lose your motivation? And that's why I'm sharing this with you, because, ask yourself that same question. Do you ever go through that time where you know you gotta get something done, where you know a certain bottom line has to be created, yet for whatever reason you're either feeling lethargic or you're feeling like, oh God, I'll do it tomorrow. And one of the pieces of advice that I shared with him that I'm hoping can help benefit you as well is I told him, whenever you go through that stage where you don't feel like doing anything, then number one, ask yourself, what are you focusing on? What I've noticed for most people is that when we feel like we don't want to do something, handle a responsibility, handle something that we know has to be completed, 9 times out of 10 is that we're focusing too much on the steps. Well, if you're having to learn how to, let's say, sign up new members or clients into your company, then we're thinking about, I got to learn how to sell, or I got to go take a course on sales or on relationship building in the marketing world, or I got to go and pay for a seminar, or I got to go through some rejection, or in other words, it's I. The great Tony Robbins, I came across one of his videos from way back, I'm talking 1985, when he's still looking super young. I think he was 28 or in his mid-20s at the time when he made this video. And he said, if you go through that stage where you just don't feel like doing anything and you feel like you're losing your motivation, he said, the one thing you've got to do is transform the way you think from where you are or what you're focusing on, and change it to focusing on somebody else. And I know, we've heard this so many times, right? How many times have you been told that, where think about somebody else, think about somebody that you care about, think about doing something for them. I don't know if you've heard that on several occasions, but I know I have. And so for me it was just oh God, here we go again, I heard this before. But then he goes on to say, human beings, the way that we're built, the way that we're programmed, is that we are programmed, generally speaking, to want to do more for other people than we will do for ourselves. Which is one of the reasons why, if you play sports, let's say, or let's say you're working at a job, if you've got a boss or if you've got a coach who's a total jerk, then even when they really want to pay you well, or even when they do pay you well, a lot of times you may think, oh man, I don't really want to be here. I want to get out of here. But how many times have you been in that situation where you were dealing with somebody, or you were under somebody's supervision per se, and they treated you really well, and they treated you not just as an employee or as a subordinate or just one of the guys on the team or one of the gals, but they actually treated you like you were someone that they cared for, that they cared about, and that you were somebody who they wanted to see do better. Either in life or in that particular field of expertise, or whatever the case is. I really thought about that. I really thought, wow, could that really be an answer? And so I look back on my own life and I thought, well, how many times have I ever pulled myself through those challenging moments when I didn't feel like doing anything, and I had to find a way to change my mental or my emotional state fast? Not in all occasions, but in a lot of them. What I ended up noticing and finding and discovering for myself is that every time I took my eyes off myself and I started to think about somebody else on my team, somebody else in my family, somebody else who I knew that needed me, I noticed that my performance would transform almost like that. It's like a psychological shift. And everything inside of me changed from, well, I don't want to get it done, and forcing myself and going from that state to, I've got to get it done. Because if I don't get it done, then their life isn't going to get better. So to wrap this up, 'cause I wanted to share this with you today. If ever you feel like you're losing your motivation to get something accomplished and it's not getting done, I want to strongly suggest to you to shift your focus from yourself, from the things that you can gain, and I want you to think about somebody who you deeply care about. You don't have to love them, you don't have to be sexually involved with them, but just someone who you passionately care for. Whether you know them or you don't, it makes no difference. But as long as they emotionally move you, I want you to really pinpoint in your mind, really focus on them, and think to yourself, if I get this done, when I get this done, how could this benefit and impact their life? If you do this enough times with enough emotion inside of you, I promise that you'll feel that shift. You'll feel a quantum leap jump from dragging yourself to get a job done to making it happen in the best way that you possibly can. Take that tip and apply it to anything that you do and tell me how it works for you. Have yourself a great afternoon, great day, and I'll talk to you soon.